All right, this episode is going to be about the person that owns this building. He's a legend in the car world. Most of you, or a lot of you, probably know who we're talking about. If you don't, you will by the time this episode has ended. Welcome to another episode of Gearhead Man. Yes, you guessed it, this episode is going to be on George Barris. He's the proclaimed king of customization, or customizing. And he's been doing it since the mid-40s and did it all the way up till the day he passed away. And he's a legend. He broke ground with his designs, and set the mark high for all the other car customizers and car makers and builders that followed him. Now, he did a lot of TV and movie cars. He's probably most famous for the car that he's posing with here in this photo, the Batmobile. And that was built from a 1955 Lincoln Futura concept car. And he did a lot of other famous cars like the Munsters. He did two vehicles for the Munsters. He did the Coach and the dragster too. It was called DRAG-U-LA, and that was a pretty cool car too. He also is known for the Beverly Hills Billies and many other cars and movies. We're going to show some of those vehicles later in this episode. He also did celebrity cars like for Sonny and Cher and Raquel Welch and other actors and actresses and models and performers like Elvis and Liberace and many, many more. And we're going to focus on some of the other things in George's life over the years, from when he started until when he passed away. We're going to focus on the big fire he had that almost changed what he was going to do. Almost ended his his career in the car customization world and car building world. We'll learn more about that in George's own words. All right, I'm anxious to get started and start sharing with you all some about George and show off what he designed and built over the years.
1925 hand-me-down Buick from my parents, and I was able to do all the different customizing events, putting doorknobs in the grill and foxtails and hubcaps and in fact old household paint from a hardware store. But when I drove into school, it was kind of a very unique feeling, because this is the first time that anybody in our classes, or even the school board, was able to see a car customized. That means changed from what it was stock to what I created from that car. And of course, doing everything by hand and through my mind at 13 years old of what I liked, what I enjoyed. And the big feeling extended through the kids that were at school, because when they saw what I did, they said, "Wow, look what Barris did to that old Buick. He made it into a new Buick or a custom Buick." So these are one of the thrills that I had that made me feel that this is the road that I wanted to take with any kind of wheels for the rest of my life.
To To the Batmobile. Let's go.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly.
I was able to find some photographs of George from back in the day in the early 40s working on some of his cars at the time. Pretty cool photographs. I'm glad these were saved and able to find these photos and add them to my episode on George. The Batmobile, the car that George Barris is most known for, and the base car that he started with was a 1955 Lincoln Futura that my understanding is he bought for $1 and had a short time frame to get it done from when he took the contract to when they started filming the TV show back in 1966. Alright, two more cars he's known for. The Munster Koach on the kind of the back left, and up front in the foreground is the DRAG-U-LA, and that was a pretty cool dragster. I've seen replicas of both these cars at a local car museum here in Las Vegas. One more TV car that he's known for from the Beverly Hillbillies. That's a pretty cool truck. I love how he made it look like it was owned by a group of hillbillies.
And one of his very, very good friends was Robert Peterson and Margie, and they had a publication called Hot Rod Magazine, and they just built cars to get into that magazine.
The magazine publications are really what brought it all to life. And what I mean by that is this was a homegrown hobby that no one really knew about until you had people like Robert Peterson, who started up this publication company that really put car customizing on the map in regards to, people learning how to customize, people learning, what customizers were already out there. And honestly, it's really what turned Detroit's eyes towards, people like my grandpa, Larry Watson, Gene Winfield. All these guys became pioneers of what we all know now as the custom car world.
I think that the hot rod culture today is all about the history of where it started. And a lot of people don't understand that my father-in-law really created the one-off hot rods that everybody could be a part of, the regular guy could be a part of. You didn't have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars to build a custom car. Anything that you built yourself was custom, and you would see those in the magazines as well. What makes the Emperor one of the coolest hot rods ever built to me was that when it was built, it was a game changer in design. It brought the hot rod into a full custom world of form and function.
The Emperor is really special because it's one of the last few cars that George actually created on his own. And with Blackie Gigian, Chuck Krikorian, Eddie Martinez, and then Junior Conway doing the paint job. I mean, the Emperor is really special because it's one of the last true hot rods that represents what kind of drove the whole scene of hot rodding and car culture.
Because my father's ideas, for some reason, they just resonated. They were exciting. they were exciting paint jobs, and they were just jazzy. No one's ever done it, and it just pops.
It's about a group of people that came together to turn Detroit's eyes towards the youth.
It's about the cruising. It's about the driving with this unique, one-of-a-kind, again, extension of who you are.
What inspired me of what I took my trend of life for, when I was a young kid, we had a hotel and a restaurant. I could have run the hotel and run the restaurant. My uncle was very helpful, but as I went to school, I wanted to play with cars. And I could do that with the teachers, and I'd come in and pass the thing and jump in my car and go down and start playing with my cars with my buddies. This is what I felt I wanted to do. In 1957, and I got a phone call from one of the police department guys who worked for me. He said, "George, your building is burning." Now, Shirley and I, we went ahead and we thought there was a joke, called back to the police department. They said, "Yes, George, your building is burning." So Shirley and I run down there, and of course it was burning. We lost 15 cars, Archie Moore, Jane Mansfield, President Richfield. My whole life was there. And I said, "I quit, Shirley. I'm not going to go through this anymore." We lost everything except it stopped. The fire stopped at one little building that I had one car in, and that was the a la carte. Shirley said, "You're going to stay." The a la carte was owned by Richard Peters from Fresno, an Armenian boy. And he said, "George, you're going to stay." I said, "Okay, we'll finish the car." Now, these Armenians every day drove 250 miles to help me work on the a la carte, to finish the a la carte. And lo and behold, we won. #1 Grand National Roadster in history that won that show.
Oh, George really loved posing with the Batmobile. A lot of photos of him with that car, but that's what made him most famous, I think. You know, I was a young kid in the 60s, and I remember all these shows and seeing all these cars, and then there were collectibles when I was a kid too in the 70s with trading cards of his customized cars as well. I collected a bunch of those. I wish I still had them. Now, George, his design really impacted me about, you know, how cool customized cars can be and how cool the movie cars can be and the TV cars. And, you know, the 60s and 70s, even up to the 80s and maybe early 90s, there were big TV shows that I call one of the co-stars an automobile that were featured in a lot of these TV shows. He did a bunch of them. It is kind of sad he's gone and passed away. And in 2021, the family closed the brick and mortar of Barris Kustom Industries location in LA. That's been closed and sold. Now, the website for Barris Kustom Industries is still up, but a lot of it's put on hold or paused for now. But they still plan on doing things with the website. And my understanding is going to be, if you have a big party or a corporation that has a big party and you want to rent one of his movie cars or TV show cars that still exist with the family, you'll be able to rent those. Well, we're all going to miss you, George. Thank you for what you gave the world. Alright, that brings an end of another episode for Gearhead Man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, definitely hit that red subscribe button and the bell icon as you leave. And if you have any questions or you have any comments about this episode, please leave them below. I will put some links to some of the other sites and other information on George and what he did in the below as well. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next episode.